Hey champions, welcome back to another Sideline Strategy of the Week, where we have an expert talk you through quick tips on how to level up your game within SalesLoft. This week, Senior Strategy Consultant Chris Stankowski is here to talk to us about leveraging the coaching module to quickly diagnose coaching opportunities to improve rep performance. So welcome, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
Thanks, Brittany. And yeah, so I'm a senior strategy consultant here. I work with some of our largest accounts to help them use SalesLoft more effectively, right? So these are customers like Verizon or London Stock Exchange Group that are really, really big. And once we've established adoption, we want to make sure that we're driving conversion rates. And one of the ways that we found to do that is to really focus on frontline manager enablement. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen and I'll kind of, talk about why that's important as I go through this. But like most platforms related to sales, they're really data heavy, right? There's just tons of stuff to look at in here. And if you're a frontline manager, you're being pulled in a bunch of different directions. You only have so many hours in a day, and you don't really have time to get in here and kind of figure out what you're looking at and teach yourself about it. So what we're going to do on this call is I'm going to directly direct you into one part of the platform where you can, over the course of 2 or 3 minutes, easily diagnose coaching opportunities for your reps. So you can see who needs cold call coaching, who needs social selling coaching, who needs coaching on maybe email personalization. And the best part, like I said, is that you can get to those truths within like 2 or 3 minutes of a quick data analysis. So if you've ever logged into SalesLoft, this probably looks familiar. This is set up for reps. This is great for them. For you, maybe not so much. So as a manager, as a sales leader, if you hover over workspace here, you'll see on the drop-down menu, you have rhythm, deals, forecast. You're going to click into coaching. And what this is going to take you to, it's going to default to showing you just the people on your team. And it's going to give you a team view first. So this is an aggregate of everyone on your team, how they're performing in terms of like total activities, meetings booked, opportunities, things like that. It's a leaderboard, right? You have a million of these already in Salesforce. Maybe you have a BI tool that you're looking at regularly. But what I want to show you that I think is really great is you click in the upper left-hand corner where it says individual. And you're going to see every single person on your team. And in particular, you're going to see how they're tracking in real time to goals that you're able to set within the platform for them. So you can do it for the entire team at once. You can set goals for them, or you can set individual goals for reps. So this is great if you have a high achiever. They know what they have to do to get to 100% every month. Maybe you want to press them. Maybe you want to do some backward sales math and figure out what they need to do to get to like 120%. So you can come in here and you can use data looking at things like people contacted or accounts touched. And then you can look at how that correlates to close one opportunities or things obviously like meetings booked. And then you can go ahead and based on those calculations, you can set a meetings booked goal for that rep that's custom to that rep. You can, again, do it for like accounts touched. You can do it for people contacted, and you could do it for each rep individually, or you could do it, team wide if you want to. So what I'm seeing here when I look at this is I see, meetings booked, people added, calls logged. I'm seeing, my team's doing great at calling, but Amber, not so much. Amber is like 40% to her goal. Today is a Thursday as we record this to her calls made. She's not adding enough people to Cadence. We've already calculated she needs to add 25 a week. She's way behind that, but she's booking way more meetings than everyone else. So I'm like, okay, she's not doing the things that she should be doing, but she's way more effective. So as a manager, I want to understand why. I want to understand the things that she's doing right that we can socialize to the other reps to bring up their performance. And then I also want to realize or see like, why is she not adding enough people to Cadence? Why is she not making these calls? And is that something we can fix so that she can even perform better in terms of meetings booked? So if I go ahead and I click into her profile individually, see a bunch of stuff. You see the goals here. The couple things to call out. One, we see that we're on a summary tab. If you're looking on the left, it's also going to aggregate data specific to email activity, specific to phone call activity, and then specific to conversations. So conversations, you can think of those as just like meetings booked on the calendar. So not necessarily cold calls. You're going to be able to filter the time frame custom to whatever you want. You want to look at this month, you want to look at last quarter, you're free to do that. And within each of these tiles, there's a pull down menu. So you can leverage, again, an overwhelming amount of data. But I think for Amber, let's look at things like, calling was something that she's lagging behind on. So let's look at calls logged. And you can see right around the 17th, just takes a nosedive, right? And so let's also look at people added to Cadence. You can see that's kind of slightly trending downward starting at the 17th too. So she's adding less people to Cadence, which is resulting in her completing less calls. We're going to look at on-time steps. Let's look at positive calls. Okay, and it's no wonder she doesn't like picking up the phone, right? Because she's not good at it. You look at positive phone calls, she's doing half as much as the rest of the team. She's in last place. So making phone calls is a really horrible experience for Amber. And we can see that she's shying away from it. She's not doing it. But we also know she's crushing it at meetings booked. So I want to see, why is she doing so great with meetings booked? She's doing, way better than the rest of the team. Why would that be? So I'm going to click into emails because I know she's a little bit stronger there. And we can see she's getting way more, about double the positive replies than the rest of the reps. And look, she's personalizing almost twice as much as the rest of the reps too. So I think that's a clear correlation. I think, if we could get the rest of the team personalizing about 56% of each email that they're sending, as opposed to 32%, they might have similar results as Amber. So one, I know that she's personalizing more. So that's something that I want to train the rest of my reps on. So maybe I'm going to give them like a repeatable personalization framework that they can use. Maybe in a team stand-up, I'm going to have Amber present and share like how she approaches email personalization, when she personalizes, what kind of research she does, this, that, and the other thing. But then also with Amber, I've got to figure out like why she's so horrible on the phones. And you look at the average call duration, it's bad. You look at connected calls, it's bad. We already looked at positive calls, it's bad. So a couple of things. One, is she targeting right? Is she reaching out to the right people? So, that's where I always start. I always look at, are they reaching out to the right accounts, or are they reaching out to the wrong people at the right accounts, right? So determine if those two things need adjusting. And if they don't, then talk to her about, how to cold call properly. You can go back to the individual performers here, and you can easily find someone who's just crushing it on the phones and who's strong, and maybe have them, meet with Amber and, talk about how they approach cold calling. So it's a way for you to learn as a team. Like you can see Carter here, 22% of his calls are positive calls. He's in first place. He's best on the team. Have Carter and Amber have lunch together and figure out, hey, Carter, here's how you email. Hey, Amber, here's how you make calls. And that's a little bit less work for you as a manager too. But what I would encourage you to do is like really think about your sales process, your sales methodology. Think about how you can track back from close won opportunities to people contacted, draw a correlation, run the calculations, set those goals for your reps, and then get in the habit of 10 minutes before a one-on-one, coming into this interface, looking at the surface level data, seeing what questions come up for you, and then drilling into those metrics to diagnose where the shortfalls are and where the coaching opportunities are for you. And I think that's about it. Oh, you're muted.
Classic. Chris, thank
Yeah.
you so much. That is such an easy way for a manager to get a clear idea of how their reps are actually doing and where they can coach them to ultimately improve their performance. So thank you for joining us this week. Champions, if you have questions for Chris, please make sure to drop them in the comments so he can get back to you. And we will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.